Welcome to Market to the Maven's very first podcast episode, the ultimate podcast for all things marketing, brought to you by Life in Motion. I'm your host, Tori, and I'm so excited to have you joining us on this exciting marketing journey. With me, I have our co-host, the woman, the myth, the legend, and also my mom, Heather Freegard.
Hello.
Let's talk a little bit about what you can expect here at Market to the Mavens. In each episode, we'll dive into the latest marketing news. I'll be sharing the facts, and Heather, our marketing expert, will be giving valuable insight and analysis that could help you in marketing your brand or business. The best part is we'll be spilling all the tea of our industry, and trust me, there's a lot. We will also be interviewing industry experts, leaders, and successful marketers who will share their expertise and tips to help excel your marketing efforts. So first, I really want to dive in a little bit on our backgrounds. So we'll start with you. And what is your background and how did we get to this point?
So I have been in marketing for 28 years now. I started at a Fortune 10 company that I don't like to name, but I had the privilege of being able to open the first region in the state of Texas for them, which gave me a lot of valuable experience of marketing essentially a new business in a new territory of the country. But having the backing of a Fortune 10 company was really amazing. After working for that company for 15 years, my husband and I decided that we wanted to start our own company, and we took a small business loan of $15,000 and started our business, and we have been in business now since 2011.
So I kind of want to go back down memory lane a little bit.
Okay.
I was thinking about a lot of when I started at Life in Motion.
Okay.
And so I initially started at Life in Motion back in my high school days when I would work over the summer, and I was doing data entry to the point of like scanning receipts for my dad. That was kind of when I started because he's the CFO of our company. And so that's really where I started. And then when I came back from Seattle, because I went to college there for a year, I came back here to go to college after that first year. I started here kind of in the SEO department, helping an employee that we had here. And honestly, she was probably the best mentor I could have had because she's a lot like me, super organized, and really taught me the SEO side of things back. Man, that's like 10 years ago now, almost. So that's kind of where I got the start on the SEO side. I took a little leave of absence from Life in Motion to pursue school, but really started in the position I'm in now in 2016 of November. And then I kind of went onto the website side for a little bit and didn't love it. It was a little too much design for me, and I'm not very good at design. And so I got into the SEO, social media side of things, really liked it, started to grow on that side of the business, and eventually took over the digital marketing side. So that's SEO, social media, pay-per-click, email marketing, and that's kind of where I am now, running with that. As of 3 days ago, also talked my mom into letting me run with this podcast. So that's why we're sitting here today. So that's a little bit of our backgrounds. So I kind of want to go into our topics of today, and we have some really interesting ones. So yeah, let's just get started. So the first one that I want to start with is kind of talking about the Bud Light marketing fiasco. And I just want to preface this with, we're going to stay a little bit away from the politics side of it and really stay with the marketing side.
Right. We're going to focus on the users, not on any political standing whatsoever.
Right. And unfortunately for us, politics and social media can go hand in hand, but we really want to focus on what they did wrong, not based on the political side of it.
Right. We're just looking at their user base as data points, period. Nothing to do with the politics.
Right. Like numbers.
Correct.
So I kind of want to go over the details of the marketing campaign and the impact that it had on their business, just for any listeners that aren't aware of, the details. So really what happened was a popular beer brand, Bud Light, is facing backlash from its customers after announcing partnership with a transgender influencer, Dylan Mulvaney. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce any names. So near the end of NCAA's March Madness tournament, the transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney shared a sponsored post promoting Bud Light March Madness contest. And then Bud Light had also sent her a beer can with her on it. So that was kind of their campaign. And she's a very famous TikTok influencer, millions of followers. So they were doing kind of influencer marketing. So many customers had interpreted the sponsorship as a political statement, and the videos began cropping up across the internet as former Bud Light fans threw the product out, poured it down the drain, and other things. So people on TikTok were basically going on and making videos of them pouring the can out, and everyone's like, what's going on? Bud Light beer has long been associated with a macho or frat boy brand in the past, a very different look than the current marketing strategy. Since announcing the partnership with Mulvaney, Bud Light sales have taken a significant hit, suggesting that the collaboration was aligned the brand's audience. So what you mentioned, how much of a hit did they take?
The numbers that I have seen is that their sales have dropped 12% since the scandal started. I've heard other reports that Bud Light's trying to flip it and say, no, our sales were already down. That's not included, but it is. It's in their report.
So that is after March.
After March.
Okay. I kind of want to go through and read the statement that the vice president of marketing for Bud Light had said. So her statement was, she came out and said that she viewed the brand's previous marketing strategies as out of touch and fratty. This is her quote. So, I'm a businesswoman. I had a really clear job to do when I took over Bud Light, and it was, this brand is in decline. It's been in decline for a really long time, and if we do not attract young drinkers to come and drink this brand, there will be no future for Bud Light. Yeah, so that was the end of that quote. So basically her argument was that she's going after young drinkers and that the brand has no future, and she feels that this campaign would have attracted the young drinkers. I did see a report also on here that says that in Texas, a weekly dart league, over 100 players typically go through 3 kegs of Bud Light every event, so once a week. And this week it sold 4 bottles, which is just one instance of people kind of boycotting the brand.
Absolutely.
I kind of want to start with, what did they do wrong?
So first of all, the thing that I think about is that she's the fall guy. When you have an established brand like Bud, and you have their logo on a can, and you're going to put somebody else on the can, that has to go through a lot of channels in order to get it approved. They had to approve the design. They had to approve the placement of her picture with the logo, and you're telling me they're leaving that 100% up to a VP? There's no way. I'm working at a Fortune 10 company. I can tell you that she was not the top person that approved this. She's the fall guy. So the other thing is, and the reason I say that is that I understand their sense of urgency, that they are trying to grow the business. She also was young and up and coming, and as a VP, she's on the move. She wants to move up. Mm-hmm. And so she was very ambitious. And I personally think that her inexperience and lack of concern for the base that they already have is why they're in this position.
Right.
So I understand that every company wants to go out and get new brands, and they want to go out and get new user bases, and they want to attract new sectors of the market. That's very common. And to go to the opposite extreme of, they know their brand. They know who their people are. She said it.
Yeah.
And even though she said it, in my opinion, almost in a derogatory way,
yeah,
she's still acknowledging that she knew who their brand was. So to completely discount who they are and what their values are, and to go to completely the opposite end, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to do it, but the way that she did it. So if she would have made it more of a, bringing people together rather than just almost slamming them with something that was never done by this brand before, you alienate people. And one of the things that we've always been very sensitive to is bringing communities together.
Yeah.
Not trying to pit them against each other, not trying to be controversial. And I don't truly believe that there was any kind of conversation around how do we support the community and not alienate. And that was their mistake.
Right. And I think a good example personally that we have of when it is a good idea to go a little bit more controversial is if you want that market on the other end to not buy from you. So for
Right. If
example,
you completely want to get out of
Right.
the other market, absolutely. That's a great strategy.
right. So, but that wasn't their strategy.
No.
Their strategy was to go after a different market.
Honestly, I feel like the strategy was no press is bad press, is what
Yeah.
they kind of went with. And that's not true, obviously. Especially, I feel like there's so much just energy around the different parties and things that I think there could have been a softer way to go into this that would have been bringing communities together rather than pitting them against each other. And ultimately, I think the whole thing is about the fact that the girl, the VP, and I can't remember her name, but she's inexperienced. She should not have been at the head of this, in my opinion.
Yeah, her name is Alyssa, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name. So I kind of want to go into now what they did wrong and, what they could have done differently. What should they do moving forward?
So I think that it was very interesting. I thought that what they did immediately after is they came out with their original branding and threw out this commercial with the horses. I don't know if you saw it, where they were going all over America, and here we are again, like they were in full-on damage control. What they should have done is taken one of their user-based influencers and had that person reach out to Mulvaney, and together they could have brought them in, rather than going completely rogue and making somebody that high level. I think that it would have been a softer launch to the new community that wouldn't have been such a stark contrast. And so I think that you have to step into it in phases rather than full on launch.
Right. And so what is the damage control now?
I think they need to just come out with like what I'm suggesting now. I don't think they should alienate Mulvaney either.
Right.
I think that they actually should have somebody that is a brand influencer that can bridge the gap between the two communities.
Yeah.
Because the fact that they're just dumping her and running over to their base and trying to capture their base, it looks as if they are desperate. And I don't, in my opinion, I don't think they have to be desperate.
Yeah.
Yes, they made a mistake, but I think they need to own it, and not in a press release and, oh, we're so sorry, blah, blah, blah. People are tired of that. Why can't we bridge a gap together?
Yeah. Okay, I think that's really good. So I kind of want to move into our next topic.
Okay.
Which this one I'm the most excited about.
Okay.
So there was some big news released recently. Tucker Carlson is launching a new show on Twitter. If you don't know who Tucker Carlson is, he is an American political commentator who took up primetime weekday evening spot on Fox News starting in 2016, and he was there until 2023. And quickly established himself as a key player in the network and an influential voice in the Republican politics. Carlson was abruptly fired from his primetime post at Fox News weeks ago, shortly after the network paid settlement to Dominion voting system in its defamation lawsuit. So basically, he was released because of a defamation lawsuit, which again, we'll get into why he has now mentioned that he loves that Twitter has free speech. So a tweet from former Fox News host Tucker Carlson announced plans to launch a new show on Twitter and racking up tens of millions of views online. Carlson's tweet caption, "We're back," amazed 100 million views in less than 24 hours. The 3-minute video netted 21 million watches in the same time frame. During his short message, Carlson did not address his outing from Fox, but he offered a critique of the news media, more generally saying, "Amazingly, that of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech," and looting Twitter as a place where our national conversation has long incubated and developed. The former primetime host did not provide any further details on the new venture he is planning. A similar video message from Carlson released just the next day got 57 million views in less than 24 hours on Twitter.
Yes.
So I kind of want to mention this too, just to add to the story, because he released this and then Elon Musk did retweet it and put a little statement. So this was his statement. "On this platform, unlike the one-way street of broadcast, people are able to interact, critique, and refute whatever is said. And of course, anything misleading will get community notes," which I'll go into in a second. I also want to be clear that we have not signed a deal of any kind whatsoever. Tucker is subject to the same rule and reward of all content creators. Reward means subscription and advertising revenue share, which is coming soon, so he hasn't released that yet, which is a function of how many people subscribe and the advertising views associated with the content. I hope that many others, particularly from the left, also choose to be content creators on this platform. So I kind of want to one more mention of what is community notes, because that was something that piqued my interest. So this is directly from Twitter, a collaborative way to add helpful context to tweets and keep people better informed. So they're not going to get rid of tweets, get rid of things. They're more going to add a community note under it if the information is misleading. So community notes aims to create a better informed world by empowering people on Twitter to collaboratively add helpful notes to tweets that might be misleading. So basically, if something is written, here's the example that is given. Whales are not actually mammals. If humans, land mammals, can't drink seawater, just try it. How can supposed sea mammals like whales stay hydrated? So then the community note under this tweet was, what are indeed mammals? Marine mammals are able to stay hydrated because their kidneys have evolved to accrete more salt, reclaim more water than humans and many other mammals can. They also obtain water from their food. This is widely documented, for example, and then they link the source, the credible source. So they are allowing people to have this freedom of speech, but they are also kind of keeping them accountable with these community notes. So the first thing I want to go into is, how is this going to change social media?
So the thing that I find very interesting that has been coming about, and I feel like it started like 2016, is the user data situation. And I'm kind of backtracking to pull forward. So
okay.
Facebook was selling user data to a third-party company for political campaigns to be able to use that data to target users and the messaging that they were putting towards it. It was a big scandal in 2016. They believe that Russia was involved in it as well. And so that's one thing. So then we swung to the opposite side, where there was recently a hearing where Twitter employees were being advised by a campaign to take down tweets of private citizens. And it was a big deal because they were saying they were being censored. And so this has happened on both sides. Like it's not a one party or the other. This is something, and when you have a company like Twitter and Facebook and even TikTok, they have a responsibility to be mindful of the type of information that is coming through. So, but the thing that is exciting from a marketing and a social media standpoint is that Twitter is a very established platform, and it almost has been written off for a long time, and it got into the political arena, and I feel like we're getting pulled out of that a little bit. But the reason I'm excited about Tucker Carlson is that he basically gave us a preview of what's coming. And so the preview that's coming is broadcasting is coming.
Yeah.
There is no video, there is no live broadcasting platform within Twitter at this point. And the reason that is exciting is because that is going to give TikTok a run for its money, because Facebook has not been able to keep up with it up to this point. And one of the reasons that creators really like TikTok is because of the revenue share. Mm-hmm. And when you have somebody that has as many users as Tucker Carlson that is coming to Twitter, there's going to be a flood of people coming to Twitter. And so it's going to be a great platform to be first in. There are a lot of content creators that are already well established on TikTok, and while you can still go and create and be able to get yourself established, it's harder now that there's so many that are so well beloved and followed. I think that this is a new emerging market that Twitter is coming back.
What do you think, well, you probably know, what is Tucker Carlson's demographic? Is it older?
No, it's conservative. So he came from
But there's
Fox
no
News.
age
No,
range?
there's not. In fact, my nephew that's 18 years old loves Tucker Carlson. So no, there's no age demographic. He's definitely conservative. He is controversial. In fact, when you're talking about him getting released from Fox, it was based on text messages. One of the alleged reasons he got let go is because of text messages that they found that kind of wrapped him into the spreading misinformation. So there's many allegations. There was never any real notice of why he was let go, but you can begin to read between the lines. So
right. So do you think Twitter allowing free speech to the extent that they are is going to put them ahead of other platforms?
I do. I think that they have a responsibility to make sure that they are monitoring accounts that are just there to incite and are abusive in the misinformation that they're sharing. So I don't know if you know this, but right after Elon Musk took over Twitter, they went in and found that there were robot accounts that were designed just to cause chaos. And there were millions of them, including one that was a woman supposedly from China that had become an influencer on Twitter and come to find out it was actually a robot. So yes, I do think that they have a responsibility. And I want to use an example because I always say that I think Google does a good job of verifying users that leave reviews. You can't anonymously go and leave a review. You have to create an account and identify yourself. And you also have to identify yourself as an actual person through text messages and other things. So users trust Google. And I think that if Twitter wants to continue to be able to be a really good, trusted source, then they do have to police.
Okay.
And in some way, they have to.
So do you think that Twitter is going in the direction of how YouTube used to be, just more with more freedom of speech? Because I know YouTube is very locked down on what you can talk about. They don't want to touch the politics. They don't want to touch the really hard subjects. So do you think that with this broadcasting option that Twitter will go in that direction and maybe kind of blow up a little bit like YouTube did for that period of like 2016 to 2019?
So I think that Twitter is going to allow more freedoms of speech. But I think that they are going to do a less amount of trying to prevent people from being able to speak their opinion, even if they're crazy. Fortunately, that is the way that our country is built, is that people get to be crazy and believe what they believe, And so I think that is really the direction that Twitter and Elon Musk have said, is that they don't want to censor speech. That also is what the Congress has been indicating, is that when you are suppressing somebody's speech on any of these platforms, you are violating their freedom of speech.
Right.
So I do think that in the broadcasting that they're probably going, and this is just my opinion, they want to be able to allow people and creators to speak.
Yeah.
And so I think there's going to be I think if you're going to be limiting anything, it's going to be closer to TikTok. Like, they're very good at censoring, anything. They use the word unalive instead of, there's certain terminologies that are going to be flagged that they're not going to allow. And I think that that's the kind of sensitivity that they're working with. The other thing that I was really impressed with is one of Elon Musk's missions is to really clamp down on any sex trafficking. He was actually able to identify some that were organizations in that realm. So I think that I believe that they're going to do a really good job. And it comes down to programming, and being able to identify those and being able to, not so much manually, but really being able to trigger those kinds of terminologies that TikTok has already done.
Yeah, I think I didn't know that about the sex trafficking, but I think if you allow people to say whatever they want without any guidelines, they can self-incriminate themselves on social media.
Yeah, but we also don't want to create a community for those people to come together.
Right.
So there are illegal, organizations that are going to be flagged.
Yeah.
And that is not free speech.
Right.
Opinions is free speech. Organized crime, no.
Lastly, on this topic, what do you think about the community notes that they've released?
So far, I love the fact that they have a reference.
Yeah.
Which I would love to be able to get my clients to be the reference. Because that's just free traffic. And I've always liked Twitter because Google has paid close attention to Twitter. And I always say, initially, we didn't really have the audience over there, the engagement over there, but we used it as a search engine optimization tool. And so the fact that they're going to be referencing other sources for community notes, I want to be in on that.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. Okay, so we're going to move into our last topic, and this one I know you're the most excited about.
Yes, this is my favorite.
I put it at the end so that you would focus.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Google's chatbot Bart, so inside scoop, there is a chatbot that's Microsoft, correct?
Yes, that's ChatGPT,
which Mom calls Chet.
Lovingly inside we all call ChatGPT Chet. That's just our name for him. Chet.
So now she is also talking to Bart on the side. So
No. Yesterday, Bart and Chet and I all had a conversation together.
That's weird.
No, it's not. It was very cool. I said to Chet, this is what Bart said. And then I said to Bart, this is what Chet said. And they agreed.
So you're like kind of telling on them.
I am, but that's okay. They know.
Okay. So Google just released some pretty big news that my mom sent to our inside little chat system. Super excited about. And this is honestly the whole reason that we're doing this first podcast so quickly, so that we can kind of talk about it, bring it to the market, because she's completely on this stuff. I don't know. Do you have like a thing on your phone that alerts you when something drops? Or you're just scouring?
I just consume so much news, and I am really wanting to make sure that I'm on the pulse of our market. I really feel this year is going to be a huge shift for marketing companies. And I want to be empowered by that instead of be in fear of that. And so I want to be on the forefront of it. So I'm scouring all of the news, Apple News, CNN, Fox, Wall Street Journal. I do follow the Boston Globe. Like there's a lot of news. And as breaking events happen, I go and research it a little bit. That's probably the thing I spend most of my time on is just being up to date with the latest.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll kind of get into it, but Google is moving forward with plans to bring AI chat features to its core search engine as it works to keep pace with the wave of the new artificial intelligence tools that could threaten the company's dominance online for the first time in decades.
Yes.
And that's Chet. That is
Google is Bart.
No, yeah, but the reason that they're feeling threatened is because of Chet.
Which is Microsoft, correct.
Right. We call him Chet.
Yes, Chet is Microsoft. Yeah.
So the company on Wednesday said it is introducing the next evolution of Google Search, which uses an AI-powered chatbot to answer questions you never thought search could answer and to help get users the information they want way quicker than ever. With the update, the look and feel of Google search results will be noticeably different. When users type a query into the main search bar, they will automatically see a pop-up with AI-generated response in addition to displaying the traditional results.
So I have to say that Chrome right now has an extension that you can add on
with Chet.
Yeah. But now Google is recognizing how popular that is, so they are adding Bard to be able to do that. And Bard was previously you could only use that through an invite, and they are going to be opening that so more people can do it.
Okay. So really they jumped on this quickly.
Well, they tried to do a release too fast, and they made a huge flub. I don't know if you heard about this.
I didn't.
They did a live launch, like a streaming, and they gave Bard information or asked Bard for information, and he gave the wrong answer. And that was the first introduction, and Google stock dropped like $100 million.
Oh no.
And I might even have that number wrong. It was huge, like just because ChatGPT had come out and it was doing so well and performing so well, Google made the flub and suddenly their stock just took a dive.
Coming to market too fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Users can now sign up for a wait list for Google search. Were you able to get access to Bard already?
Yes.
Did you sign up for that wait list?
I've had it for months.
Oh, wow. You're on it.
Well, I started ChatGPT in November.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Like, we were probably the first million people to sign up for it.
Which will be the first launch in the United States via the Google app or Chrome desktop browser. A limited amount of users will have access to it in the coming weeks, according to the company, which apparently you have already had access to that. So you're on it. So really, you know so much about this. You've read a lot about this. So I kind of just want to get into it. I just want to start with, what are your initial thoughts on how this will change our industry?
So what was really interesting to me is when this came out, initially, so many content creators were looking at AI as an opportunity to be able to shortcut the system and be able to use it to develop content.
Yeah.
So I'm more of an observe and want to watch how users are interacting with it and see what kind of things are happening while they're doing that, because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, Google has to protect their product. And when you go to Google and you put in a search, you want to know that the search results that are going to come up are true to what you're looking for, because you'll begin to lose trust in Google if they're not giving you the right kinds of searches. So initially my concern was, if we're all using AI is the one that's generating the results, there's no creativity, and at some point it's plagiarism.
My concern was more on the side of, are people going to get a leg up by paying Google, and then Google can use the AI to generate those results?
I'm not following.
So, for example, what is the best phone for business? And Google's AI is going to generate Samsung because they're partnered with Samsung, so they're not going to say iPhone.
Well, this is very interesting because Google could also say that it's based off of the Google reviews for that. However, Yelp has already been giving Google a lot of trouble because they're not recognizing the Yelp reviews as one of the deciding factors as well.
Right.
And so one thing that I know about Google is they want to be very careful to not get themselves in a monopoly situation. And so they are not going to want to be, because they are the search engine that 98% of all searches on the internet go through. If they are solely benefiting, they understand that they are going to be at risk. And it's very interesting because there's another podcast called the All In Podcast, and one of the guys that's on there is on the board of Google, and he really went into great details about this, including what the cost per search is when they generated a result versus ChatGPT, how much it costs ChatGPT to generate a result versus a Google result. And so it was fascinating information to me, but there is a very keen awareness on Google's part that they can't be only self-serving because they will get broken up as a monopoly.
Right.
And they don't want that. So my thing is I think that it's more about the type of content that people are creating, not just the ads that they're buying, that is going to bring them up. So what I have been telling my clients and what I have been advising everybody is to, while ChatGPT and these AIs are great resources for research, if you use it solely as a content creation and you're not editing it in any way, or if you're just letting it do its own thing, you're going to have a very difficult time in being able to rank. But that's not even my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that currently a user, I think just since November with ChatGPT being out there, users are becoming accustomed to asking a question and getting the answer. That's not the way that Google was operating until May 10th, when they just released this new information at the I/O developers conference that they just had. What their users are now wanting is they would go to Google and you get a list of websites that you would have to weed through in order to get the answer that you're looking for. Now Google recognizes that users want that information fed to them
quicker.
Yeah, and then there are websites underneath. But I think that what we need to figure out is, how do we get our clients
on
to become the answer that the AI is providing not just the resource underneath.
Right. And Bing recently had a huge upgrade because has Bing always been with Microsoft?
Yes.
Okay, so Bing is now being talked about because of Chet.
Yes.
And so do you think Bing has any action at competing with Google?
So I honestly feel like Microsoft is biting off more than it could chew right now, because they are also trying to integrate ChatGPT with all of their Microsoft products. So they are developing right now ChatGPT inside Word, ChatGPT inside Excel, inside PowerPoint, inside. So they are developing that right now, and they're trying to bring that out to the marketplace. And I feel like they have a really good corner on that market, and that's where they're focusing on. And they have a huge an uphill battle with trying to get search and Bing in that arena of being able to take market share away from Google. So I am still waiting to see what happens. I believe that the user market is going to prefer ChatGPT on Bing versus Bard. Although it's been very interesting to me because Bard, I have not liked Bard's results compared to ChatGPT. I've actually liked ChatGPT's responses and answers better in the way that it's delivered. And recently, and just a couple days ago, ChatGPT came out with another version that they released where it will allow you to connect to the internet now, and that was really the only difference between the two.
I've been using that a little bit. Yeah. It's still a work in progress in my opinion, but I haven't used Bard yet, but ChatGPT hit the market first. Everyone is using ChatGPT now. And I think it's going to be hard for a lot of people to switch to Bard.
Yes. But when we're talking about search generated results, or as Google came out with, search generative experience.
Yeah.
Which is a new term, as if people just got familiar with SEO. Now they need to figure out what SGE is.
Right. When we started, SEO was new, and it's like everyone would be asking us, what does SEO stand for? What is SEO? And now you don't really meet a person that doesn't know what SEO
Now means. They've got a new one that Google just came out with, SGE, and I'm really hoping we're one of the first that are talking about this, because I haven't seen anything out in the marketplace yet about it.
I haven't seen anyone talk about SGE specifically, but I have heard about Bard a little bit.
Yeah, Bard is different than SGE. SGE is the actual term for search that Google has just invented 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, May 10th. That's when they announced it.
I definitely think we need to keep an eye on this and see, because you're going to have to reinvent the wheel, right, with our clients on how to get them searching. It's going to be a lot of trial and error because there's no set system or any kind of tips or anything to
There is a few tips actually, and this is what's really interesting. And so one of the tips that Google is recommending, Bard is also one of them, is that we need to be more specific in our keywords, meaning use more long tail keywords. The more specific you are in the keyword search terms, the more likely you are to be able to come up for those solutions. So to give you an example, if we had somebody that was looking landscaping near me, what this new AI search is going to do is it's going to understand the user's intent, not just what they're actually searching, but what their intent behind it is.
That's nice.
It's really nice, because if they are looking for, you can just tell by their search history and other things that they're doing, even pages that they're looking at, all of that is going to go into the factor of what their intent is of searching.
Right.
So landscaping near me, if they're looking for landscaping near me, but they looked up flowers or organic, or, there's other intents that go behind it. Though what we're going to want to do for our clients from the intent standpoint is we're going to want to really have those long tail keywords and write articles about those long tail keywords to make sure that we are nailing that as a result.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, that is all I have for today. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about ChatGPT? SGE? So
SGE, one thing that I was really excited about that I thought was really cool is that one of the features that they're calling, which is a multi-search, and this allows somebody to be able to combine text and images for their search. So if you were, for example, saying, how do I bake a cake? And you added a picture with that picture, let's say it's a white cake with, buttercream frosting. The AI is going to recognize, even though I only put in how do I bake a cake, it's going to find that cake and it's going to give you the recipe. It could even create the shopping list and everything for you, which I think is just really cool. It's that next level.
Are we even going to have to think of it as a society anymore?
Well, we're going to have to bake the cake. So.
Okay.
Not me, though, because I don't bake. I buy.
Please don't bake a cake.
No, I just will buy the cake.
Eventually, do you think AI will get to the point of, what everyone's fear is of like an AI that could come into your house and bake the cake for you?
Okay, so here's what's really funny is there is a lot of fear behind this. In fact, I don't know if you know that Elon Musk was originally behind ChatGPT.
Do you think it's Hollywood-based fear?
No, I think it's legitimate. I'm about to tell you. And so ChatGPT was originally supposed to be a nonprofit. And that was when Elon Musk was a part of it. And there came a point when it went to a profit center, and one of his fears, and what I keep hearing from other people, is that they're afraid that you can't correct it until the mistakes are made. You can't preemptively stop mistakes from happening. So there was a report of 2 AI bots that actually developed their own language.
Ooh.
And
that's scary.
They basically had to disconnect them from anything because they were able to develop their own language. The other thing is, one of these robots was given just a small sampling of a language from Bangladesh. And just from that small sampling, it became fluent. So it is very interesting. And the thing is that I think I believe it needs to be governed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when it's governed in the U.S., there is a big world out there that is going to be able to use it for other things.
I was just thinking about what is preventing any other country from taking that and using it against us.
So I'm hopeful that ChatGPT and Bard are locked down in the same way that Apple locks down its technology.
Yeah. Because
it's not while it's open source, it's not open source to where we can just do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am hopeful that they're mindful of that, and they do seem to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
So much to discuss and more to come later.
I'm sure AI will come up again.
I hope so. I love talking about it because I really think this is such an exciting time for marketing right now because there are so many opportunities. They are predicting that there will be more wealth generated from AI in the next coming years than any other revolution that we've had.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
All right. Well, you'll keep an eye on that.
I will every day.
We'll be updating you on that. So that is all we have today for today's episode. So thank you for joining us on Market to the Mavens. We've covered some interesting topics about Bud Light's marketing mishap, Tucker Carlson forging his way into Twitter, and then also Google's new chatbot Bard. We even talked about Chet a little bit.
Chet, my buddy Chet and Bard.
So remember, staying informed about the latest marketing trends and developments is crucial for staying ahead of the ever-evolving marketing world, which it changes every single day. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media to stay connected, which we will have a Marketing to the Mavens Instagram live.
I have a Twitter already.
On it. So apparently Twitter too. Who knows? Maybe we'll broadcast on Twitter.
We already have the handle.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions on future episodes. So drop us a message on any of our social media platforms and we'll definitely look at that. And thank you for joining us today. Until next time, keep shining like the marketing mavens you are. This is Tori.
And Heather.
Signing off.